Act on long path.
I'm out there with what's wrong with these people? I'm not going again. One time, and that's enough.
A lot of people amazing to see that when they have it done, where I really didn't have that bad of sight anyway. It's just like way out there. I know.
Hi, John.
Yeah. And so when I went to the doctor one day, my eye doctor, for my annual checkup, well, I mentioned that.
Yeah, I just there's a lot to it. You have one.
Yes, and they always one at a time.
Right.
The following day, all of a sudden,
Welcome to the Charter Township of Comstock, February 2nd, 2026 board meeting. This board meeting is now called to order. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Support. Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Moving along to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you will be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you are welcome to make an appointment with a supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. Their contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Karen Height. I want to start out by saying that I do appreciate everything that our fire department does for us. However, after the last meeting, I started having questions as to why we need a new building, new station. So I did some comparisons with a like community based on the area that is covered, and that would be Portage. Portage covers approximately 32 to 35 square miles. Comstock covers 35 to 36 square miles. Both have 3 fire stations. Portage has 41 personnel. Comstock has approximately 45 with a mix of full-time and part-time or paid on call. And Portage has 30 certified firefighters, 11 on call. Portage has 49,000 residents. Comstock has 15,000. For 2024, Portage responded to 5,423 calls. For that same time period in Comstock, it was approximately 2,300 to 2,400. So my question is if Portage can handle what they have, basically the same as us, and they can handle it, why do we need a new building? We're a smaller township. We have a third of the amount of people that they do. We do a third of the calls that they do. And why do we need another one? Another question is, has it ever been explored for building up on the buildings that we have? You say you need places for the people to sleep. So build up, put your sleeping quarters up. Every builder will tell you it's cheaper to go up than it is to go out. Cheaper to go up than it is to build a new building. At this meeting, the board is going to be voting on a notice of intent to purchase 15-year bonds to pay for this. When do the voters get a chance to vote on this bond issue? Per Mr. Paget, June 1st, they will be purchased, and then the bonds will be for sale in August. Once again, when do the voters get to vote on this bond issue? If this is all put into motion strictly by the board and the board's votes, then the voter will have to file a right of referendum, collect signatures to put this on the ballot. My understanding of a right of referendum is that the board passes something that the voters clearly are opposed to, and they can file a right to referendum, which gives them the right to collect signatures and force the issue to be put on a ballot for the next election. Nothing more can be done on this until it's voted on by the public. To go back a little further to the rezoning of the development by Mr. Watts, why did our attorneys not let the public know that they could have used this right of referendum, and with enough signatures votes?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Andre Bellows, and I have the recorded interest actually in the township. So what's my biggest problem is right now we have the facts, the superintendent do not have its oath of office. Under MCLA 1551, 151, every one of the employees of the Michigan have to have the taken oath of office. This is a vacated office, and you cannot keep paying for the vacant office. So I'm gonna provide you with a notice, formal notice of what's going on. So another thing I want to mention, I didn't know it was going to come up, but Bob Pratt is the one who brought this up. He brought it up against Cindy, and he brought it up something with Bob Sotheby. Bob Sotheby is one of my old partners who screwed me out of $140,000 in 402 West Michigan in Valley Creek. He also had my attorney disbarred. The same attorney I told you, Matt Justice, who died mysteriously. Okay, he is the one who got disbarred by that plaintiff, who has absolutely no ethnicity at all. Just the biggest liar I ever met in my life. So this is very important for you two guys to know. What you're bringing up, not just a can of worm, but you also brought up the can of worm with dead bodies in it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Tammy Keeler. Who are you guys employed by? You're employed by these residents. Who pays your fees? Who pays your insurance? Taxpayers of Comstock. Why don't you listen to us and give us something in our community that we need, that we want? Like the tornado sirens. And I found out today that this battery plant can be appealed by the residents. You guys put us in danger, but you don't want to save us if something happens. But like I said, we pay you to do your job, and the job is not getting done by 4 of you. It just seems to be one-sided to me on this board. There's 4 that vote against 3. They're for the people, the other 3. The 4 that we really want out of here are not for us. You have one sitting on your board right now. This is what I heard. And if I can find the proof, I will let you guys know about it. Insurance fraud, burning down a house, stealing vehicles, saying that they were stolen. They weren't. They turned them into the insurance companies. I got this from a reliable source. So you guys, and the only reason why you guys are after Sandy is she's bringing up where all this money's going. We want to know where all our COVID money went, which was not supposed to be for this. It was supposed to go for the people of Comstock. And plus, we want to know about the Ponzi scheme. Where's that money? Some of you were in on that too. I am really, fed up with this underhanded stuff. You guys are hiding money. Sandy's bringing it out. And you guys are just teed off, because the residents are finding out where the tax money's going. But like I said, taxpayers pay you to do your job. We're supposed to have people up there that are trustworthy, and 4 of you aren't. You wouldn't know trust if it hit you in the butt. And as far as the fire department, there's not enough room there for a training center behind there. Where are they getting that idea? Did you see how big that training center is up here? Where in the heck are they gonna put it when you got a residence right behind you? You got like I said, you have residents right behind there. There's not enough room. But like she said, build up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Basically, I've been working on sirens for the better part of a year now. And I specifically remember one board member saying, why don't we put this on the ballot and let the voters choose? And then they were told that that wasn't a possibility. And then they came up with the idea of, why don't we survey the community? And that was said multiple times. Why don't we survey the community on this fire station and see if the community actually wants it, instead of forcing it down our throats? Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I have just one question. Okay, every board should have somebody plus public to seize over them. Why are we not allowed to go to a fire board meeting? It's never been put to the public. In all the years I've lived here, which now is 69, they've never been allowed. It's time we open the boards up so that the public can be there at the same time instead of one person that says yay or nay, or this is what your budget is. We're getting tired of it. All of it. Stop hiding stuff from us. It's not going to work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Evening. Dean Rockwell, 8178 Fawn Meadow Trail. 2 months ago, Ben appointed me as the deputy supervisor, and I did take an oath before someone, tries to get me. So I just had a couple of recommendations in the 60 days that I've been doing it for the board members, not telling you what to do. It's just someone from being on the outside looking in. Many residents have expressed interest in town hall meetings on occasion, whether at Comstock High School. I'd be happy to open up the VFW's hall as well. If any of you'd be interested in that sort of invite-only ask and answer session, instead of having to wait till the end of board comments. I think many residents would like to ask questions and hear responses in real time. After meeting with Supervisor Hess, one thing I realized that doesn't happen here is any sort of staff synchronizations, huddles, all staff meetings, briefing to the boards. Obviously being advised they can't have a quorum or any violations of Open Meeting Act, but I do think that weekly updates to the boards and bringing in some of the board members about what's going to be on the agenda would be beneficial to the board instead of having to look through a 230 or 288 page packet on the weekend. You could be involved in some of the staff points, and I think those touch points would help for continuity, relationships, but I think that would help the board members be prepared during that time. As far as the process for within the township as well, if I have a question and I'm asking, Supervisor Martin, I was advised that, that is all funneled through the superintendent. Even though the superintendent works for the board, if my neighbor has a question about the cemetery or an ordinance, I'm not to go to that department head, because that could be, it has to all go through the superintendent. I understand in his capacity, he wants to be read in, but I do think that that is a a slowdown of governance. If one of the trustees, the treasurer, the clerk had a question about something, to have to route it all through the superintendent and not be able to ask a department head or a worker, not to leverage something, but just to have a question, I think that is a slowdown and a stopping of, transparency and governance. I would recommend looking that. And then, lastly, just to the point of the firefighters, obviously, people talk to me a lot in my capacity, here since I've moved here. I can say I've never heard one complaint about the firefighters, their, professionalism, their response time, but a great many that have expressed to me since this issue and the bonds came up have relayed that they would like a vote or more feedback before this money is dedicated in the township. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further resident comment?
Hi, everybody. My name's Mary Hamilton. I live on 28th Street, North 28th Street. I was here in November when the Planning Commission took up the cause, or took up the listening to the citizens about the Rosewood, H Avenue and 28th Street rental property. And after we talked for an hour and a half and it was presented by Rosewood, they verbally agreed with us that that was not a good fit for that neighborhood. So that was a verbal agreement, but they decided to vote later. Maybe that's their policy, I don't know. And then afterwards, it seemed like they got together and voted against it, because I believe, is this true that it was recommended to you to vote in favor of rezoning? Does anybody remember that that was the Planning Commission's recommendation to you after their vote?
They can't.
They can't answer that. I'm going to assume it was, because that's what I heard from the public, okay? That's what I heard. So that when I came here last January and Rosewood got up again and talked, and the citizens got up and talked, your board voted unanimously to deny rezoning. And so it was a victory for the citizens, and we showed up in good number. And I know there's been infighting. I don't get all of it. I don't pay that close attention, but I know you're always not copacetic. That night, you all unanimously agreed to listen to your citizens. And in that moment, I commend you for the integrity that you had on behalf of our citizens. So I want to thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Happy Groundhog Day, taxpayers. Just come say hi for a bit. Rock steady, I'm not gonna referee anymore. I sold both my houses, what do you think of that? No, I'm kidding. A lot going on, just hope things are going forward. Now we're in another month of another new year and another new board and lots of other things. We're all aware of that. All the critiquing of little things that can happen along the way. My best regards to everybody at even personal levels that it might make into your brain bucket as I speak, maybe emotionally towards it, but there's a lot of things that just can't be changed in due time. We make things on our own. We make our own decisions. We're all adults here. You too, County Commissioner. We all have a lot of things that we'd like to see happen. They just don't happen overnight. It's a wishful thinking process, but deceitfulness, if I perceive it, I will recognize it. And I think deceitfulness, if things are being cheated or bent in a direction to perhaps get away with something or something, deceitfulness is not cool. It doesn't work. It rears its ugly head in the long run. If it be 20 years from now, and the names will come out, people won't remember the smoke we dealt with all last summer. They won't. They really won't. It was pretty bad. Nobody complains about that now because there's no smoke. So anyways, for the best of everything on together as a community and a community, happy Groundhog's Day. Make something work. Make me proud. Go about your daily chores. Eat, drink, and be merry, I guess. I don't know. You guys have different faces on you. Now, it could just be the cold weather, but I see it. It's starting to what we'd say rock steady, just kind of avoid things. The dips in the road. Some of them are stupid dips. Some of them make you swerve. These things I tell you, these are from great people. They're much older than a lot of you by a good 25 years. And I remember those things because they make sense, and I think I get your attention with them. And they're wise people, such as we all will be, but you got to get older first. So I guess what else is there? 15, 14, 13? Yeah, make some good decisions. Let's go with it. I wish there was more ARCA money or whatever I wish there was more money left to rebuild whatever the communities that the COVID relief stuff.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe there will be.
Get a lot of smiles through that. All right. I would like to start by telling the board, I apologize for the things that are said up here when they imply that people are corrupt, or they imply that people are doing things wrong. Well, they're not. There's a lot of things that are said out here in public comments that are not true, or they're exaggerations, or misinterpretation of things. We have people who aren't even citizens coming up and getting into our business here, acting like they're experts. We get noise from the side when people make comments. But most importantly, I want to tell the board that the we that you keep hearing all the time from one side of the room is not us. The we is a small faction of loud people. The us is the majority of Comstock Township citizens. There are thousands of us out here. We don't agree with everything you do, but we support most of what you do. There are some points that are brought up by some people that get up here every township meeting and say things. They accuse people of being corrupt. If that is true, bring up some proof. Let the board investigate it. The us would love to wipe out any corruption that exists on this board. I don't know why the board doesn't take some interest in what they're saying and publicly refute or confirm what's being said. Listen to us, not just we. Just a wee bit. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Sean Crummell. I live on Daw Street, and I didn't know there was a right and a left side of the room. So apparently I wasn't aware of that. So let's see, a couple things. The battery plant. I don't understand why we couldn't have extended it through the new year when you could have extended, when you did extend voting on whether certain people should stay on a committee that's been on a committee for so long, and you thought that was okay to extend it to the beginning of the year. There's more things about the battery plant that could have been brought up and discussed, and you didn't even wait for your committee that you put in charge, or in the thing for recommendations. Their recommendation would have been to extend it to the beginning of the year, to do more and to research it more. But you guys didn't even wait for you put a committee in charge and you didn't even wait for their answers. I don't understand that. As far as the fire department goes, in a new building, I don't understand that. My grandfather was a fireman for 50 years, and he worked at the one that was leaking by the park, and for God knows how many years before they built a new one. Now you have a new one, and you've done things, which is right there by the highway. I don't understand why you want to move it away from Comstock even farther towards Galesburg and make a training session or a training facility when we already have one up on East Nazareth that we can use. Doesn't make sense.
I don't think we need to house 5 people or how many other people that you think that we need to house, because everybody else was, you're on call. And you drive, and if you can make it to the fire department in time to ride on the truck, that's fine. If you can't, you make it there. I don't understand why we need to close that one down unless we're going to sell it to somebody and they're going to get good money from it or whatever, but I don't think that we need another millage for a new fire department. We have 3 of them, add on to them, or make it work somehow. We've made it work before, you should make it work again. We don't need a training facility, you just got raises, that was voted in, and I just don't understand why you gotta keep pulling money out of the community to pay for things that we, us, whoever, I'm being classified as, don't think that it's most of the people that here, we don't want anymore. We don't want to pay out anymore. We don't want the battery plant. And another thing is, if...
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't know if all of you should be voting right now, if you're being recalled.
How's it going? Finally, no snow for like a couple days. Snowed a little bit this morning. Parking lot salted. Thank you. Didn't slip and fall. Couple things. I have no problems with the fire department. Anytime my grandparents have fallen, pressed their button, they are there within, I would say, 5 minutes. Granted, they live on East Main and 33rd right there, and the fire station's just down. I have no complaints about that. New fire station, totally don't understand it, you know, but if they think they need a new training facility, because I think we pay Kalamazoo Fire Department to use that, or the city of Kalamazoo, so maybe we could save some of that money and build some weather stations. You know, not weather stations, tornado sirens or something like that, if we're saving a little money. Hopefully we get along this meeting. You know, hopefully there's no bickering back and forth and yelling and throwing jabs and everything like that. We had a couple jabs out here in the audience, but, you know, don't take after us. You guys are yourself. You know, I had a lot more to say and I just lost it. I hope that we can not argue a lot and everything. I want to see us work together and everything. And I've had a couple community members and everything talk to me about, you know, just the board being ruthless to each other and everything like that, and it's just not right. You know, you guys need to start working together. You know, as for other community members bickering back and forth with each other, don't listen to us out here. You know, you guys are your own. Start working together. Don't take anything we or us or I or anyone out here say. Start working together. Don't worry about the jabs we throw out here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments this evening? If there are no further comments, we'll be moving along to announcements for departments, boards, and commissions. Commissioner?
Thank you, Ben. I want to compliment the last guy that spoke. When somebody my age forgets what they wanted to say, that hurts. When a young guy like that forgets it, it makes me feel better. I'm John Gisler. I'm the county commissioner for 5 of the 15 townships in the rural part of the county. And because of that, I'll be leaving as soon as I'm through speaking. I have to get to Waukesha. They only have 1 meeting a month, and it's the first Monday. So I will be bailing out as soon as I have my say. And I don't have a lot to say today, except it's pretty important. It's just a single item that you may have already seen in the media. Pardon me. United Airlines is going to start flying out of Kalamazoo again late April. I think it's April 30th. And they will have 4 flights a day to Chicago. American already has 4 flights a day to Chicago, and the Delta 6 flights to Detroit are still there too. So we're getting additional air service, and all of the planes flying in and out of here will have 2 levels of service. I don't know if it's called first class and economy or whatever, but if you're a frequent flyer and you got some points to burn, you can ride up front and maybe get an extra toddy or something. That's it. Any questions?
Any questions? Drive safe, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Waukesha's the end of the world. Don't tell them I said that.
Treasurer Bloomfield, do you have any announcements from the Planning Commission?
Yeah, I just want to speak briefly. We had our first Planning Commission meeting and elected our president, our chair, which is Amber Lawrence, and Larry Nichols was vice chair, and James Chrysler was elected as secretary. And then I just want to say that we kind of we discussed what we wanted to work on for the year. One of the things that seems to be important, and Attorney Thal has a presentation coming up on this, was data centers. Since we are probably getting the battery storage, data centers are coming in around us, and we have nothing in any of our bookwork for the Planning Commission. So we do need to start to work on that just in case something arises. Better be prepared than not. And then also, the whole board unanimously decided that they wanted to work on planned unit developments, which goes back to the R1Cs that someone discussed. We feel like ours is not very workable for builders, and this would give builders a better chance to come in and be able to build and make it easier for them to do the things they want to do, but keep natural resources and everything. So, and then the other one we were working on was landscaping, because our current ordinance has a lot of landscaping. When people come to build, they have a lot of money they need to put aside for landscaping, and we just want to kind of cut back on that, the big trees, so they aren't taking out the power lines. And the last thing is, we've had a lot of rezoning done. Applications come in, so we wanted to take a look at maybe some work on the master plan, and that's it.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Moving along to the consent agenda, we have approval of minutes for January 5th, 2026, regular Township Board meeting, approval of minutes January 14th, 2026, special Township Board meeting, bills payable February 3rd, 2026, 2026 assessing renewal contracts with Appraisals Plus Group and Kevin Harris, 2026 engineering service letter of engagement with Prine and Newhoff, and replacement of employee door entry system and lockdown by EPS. I do have a correction on the minutes, page 9 would be Trustee Amos and Supervisor Martin were a no vote.
I'm sorry, page 9 of the packet, and which vote was it?
Yep, page 9, well, let's see.
That page.
Yes. And it would be at the top there, the approval of Attorney Thal to look into the matter.
Okay, so Trustee Amos and
Supervisor
Martin were a no vote. Okay.
Correct. And then if there's no other corrections to the agenda, I would just like to see, I have a couple questions on 2026 assessing renewal contracts, the 2026 engineering service letter, and the replacement of the employee door system. So I'd just like to see if we can move that under superintendent, just for a couple quick questions.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to move the 3 items, the assessing renewal contracts and the engineering service letter and the replacement for the entry door system under Scott Hess.
Support.
Also, can we add the changes to the minutes?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, Nicole, and the changes for Supervisor Martin and Trustee Amos voting no on Attorney Thal's. Thank you.
And then, so we have a motion, we have support.
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Moving along to presentations, we have the 2025 Annual DDA Informational Report.
Thank you. Steve Deisler, DDA Director. I want to thank you again for allowing us the opportunity once again. If you'll recall, we were here about a year ago giving you an update on what we had done in 2024 and also recommending level of support from you, and we continue that effort. In terms of asking for a partnership with you and to, there we go.
Turn it on.
It's on. There we go. The DDA was established in 2019. As you probably recall, a effort was made at that time to try to pull together the community and focus on redevelopment of our small little district in Comstock Center. And with these three principles that were established in the initial plan in 2019, I think they still fit. They still are part of what we are trying to follow in terms of working with you and other boards to support the DDA. We want to implement public improvements and assist businesses in investing in the district. And most importantly, we're trying to create jobs, attract new businesses, and increase our tax base. The downtown DDA district is kind of a unique shape area, but most of our focus has been on the core community of near the intersection of River and King Highway. And that's where kind of all of the positive activities that we've been working on have been occurring with the improvements to some of the buildings, the Kalamazoo River Trailway, the river itself, Merrill Park, and it has been the focus of our DDA for the last few years, but there are other opportunities in the district, and that is probably something that we're going to be looking at next year. Okay. There we go. Our DDA Board of Directors has been very stable. I think the helpful part is that we've had several of them that are been with us for the last 4 years. And we just recently approved and reappointed 3 individuals. So we think we have the experience now on our board and stability. So going into 2026, it's nice to have the knowledge still there on the board. And we think we have a complete, broad group of individuals that represent the district. Okay. We're always trying to keep the public informed on what we're doing, and beyond just giving you an update annually, we are there through our website, through direct mailings, the Facebook page that we utilize through the townships page has been very helpful. We also, I'm out there quite a bit talking directly with businesses and trying to get feedback on projects and programs that we're trying to implement. Okay. This must not be working. Over the last 3 years, I should say, we've kind of focused on 4 areas of concentration: beautification, maintenance, events, economic development, and then our actual executive committee role. And that's been very helpful to keep the board focused on some things, but what we're finding out is that we may be spreading our activities a little too far, and we're going to be rethinking that strategy in the next couple months here. That jumped too quick. The DDA budget in 2025, pretty well status quo. We did have to utilize some of our fund balance to maintain our programs in terms of Beautify, Comstock. There was a slight increase in our TIF dollars, and we continued to utilize some of the grant funds that we get for some of our programs. There we go. By the numbers, I guess I want to just kind of quickly go over what we did in 2025 in terms of highlights. Our board and our committees held 25 meetings. We had 3 grants awarded this past year. We maintained a number of the flower planters, gateways, and bridge flowers over the season, and last year was our 3rd year of spring cleanup with our volunteers. So we're still trying to get more volunteers to participate in some of our activities, but I think over the last 3 years we've had a pretty good turnout with support. The events have been quite successful. I do want to say that one of the bigger ones that we participate in with Parks and Rec is the Fall Fest, and that was a great turnout this past September. Phase 1 of the Comstock Riverfront Redevelopment Project, a lot of time was put into that this past year. Once again, we were trying our best to try to raise dollars, to purchase land, to set aside property for redevelopment of a pretty large-scale project, and it was moving forward. But towards the end of the year, we sat down with the property owner, and they've decided not to proceed with a sale. So changes are happening here, and that's why we're rethinking what's going to happen in 2026. We applied for 2 state grants, and we did award 2 facade program grants for business signage. As I mentioned, we continue to focus our efforts on keeping the downtown beautiful, and with those activities, we're going to continue to do that in the near future. We have a RFP out right now for a consultant or construction contractor, landscape contractor to come in and submit a bid for a 3-year contract for the next 3 years that would continue through 2028. Oh, good. This past year, we did do some river bridge flower baskets. A lot of support for those over the last couple of years. We had some participation from the Kalamazoo County Road Commission, who took over maintenance and cleanup of the bridge areas on towards the bank of the rivers. That saved us about $1,000. Again, as I mentioned, Fall Fest, very successful. We were involved in National Night Out and the holiday tree lighting this past year. Oops. Economic development, as I mentioned, was a focus last year. The strategy towards the end of the year changed because of the change in potential for purchase of a key parcels in that district. As I mentioned, we applied for 2 grants. We received one, and the other one was denied. So we continue to reach out for a variety of different grant programs That is really a key for us as a new DDA, because it's really those grants and the partnerships and the investments that build our DDA and our tax base so that we can do more projects. Business retention recruitment is always kind of a focus of mine, and I'm out there trying to talk to businesses and definitely talking to realtors who are trying to sell some of the buildings in the district and fill some space. Oh, there we go. And you probably recall these drawings from last year in terms of what we were hoping to do for the riverfront. This is not something that we're going to totally ignore, but it's going to be put on hold until we can locate or decide on a different approach for enhancing our riverfront, creating some redevelopment activities, mixed-use development. These are the kind of projects that will really generate TIF dollars for us, and when you generate a large amount of TIF dollars, you can do more and you reinvest it in the district. Here are the two signage programs that we assisted last year, Kate's Cupboards and the Rabbit Hutch. Okay. As I mentioned, we're always trying to educate the public and others on what the DDA can do to help a business and help the district. And we're always out there trying to promote the tools we have to support that growth. Here's a list of some of the grants that we secured and a variety of programs that we're supporting here. Some because of the redevelopment program on the riverfront, we've put those on hold. We did secure a $25,000 match for a separate project that was happened to be did not take place because the two parties, the buyer and the seller, were not able to come together. But we have applied for a $200,000 Kalamazoo Community Foundation grant to help out our loft project that is still in the works. Always wanting to thank the participants that have been involved with us over the last 3 years. They're key to continuing our effort for the DDA and helping us with not only maintenance and beautification, but reinvestment and helping us give some direction on what we hope to do in the next couple of years. As we move into 2026, I've been trying to roll out for the DDA board opportunities that we can maybe take control of or look at in terms of potential projects. But there are those that we want to make sure we continue to support and commit to helping along the way here. Two projects, Lofts on Riverside, housing project for 4 affordable units in need of some gap financing. We're trying to work with the owner to wrap that up and get that project online. The Kearney commercial block on River and Kings, we're in close coordination with them in terms of trying to help them with filling retail space there. I don't know if you'd noticed, but 3 new businesses have opened up in that commercial building. We want to continue our facade improvement program. We want to support the Comstock housing plan, which I think is going to be coming out, the final draft coming out sometime in February or March. And we want to see how we can use that plan as a tool to maybe provide a rehab grant program and or infill housing in the area surrounding our small Comstock Center district. Business recruitment, hoping to help fill a couple retail spaces that are out there. Maintenance, we We, as I mentioned, we are rebidding the contract out, and bids are due this Friday, so we're hoping that we get some quality bids in and reasonable amount. We've restructured the program a little bit, so we think we're going to have some savings this year. Security has always been a concern with us. We've been looking at maybe an idea of improved lighting. We have implemented some security cameras in the district, so there are still a lot of opportunities out there that we can look at. We do want to work closely with the homeless committee and see what their thoughts are in terms of addressing some of those issues. And then a community open house, town hall meeting, we've been talking about that for some time at the DDA level, and I think once we come to the point where we have some priorities or strategies we want to share and get feedback on, that will probably happen in the first quarter of 2026. And then, as I mentioned, funding, grant funding is critical to our future here, and we'll continue to work on that. What I brought forward at our last DDA meeting was just a brainstorm list of strategic projects looking at the district and what I felt were some opportunities, listing out about 14 different projects and sharing those with the DDA board. They, I think, were very interested in trying to help evaluate and pick a few that we can work on in this coming year. Oops. What we want to do is, look at these 4 sites, utilize a criteria that we can help rank and prioritize those that are going to benefit the district and the community, and really create jobs, create the tax base that we're hoping for, and spin off and create the district as a people place so that, it becomes the gathering kind of place that we all want it to be. And then, in conclusion, the DDA board, as a result of our meeting last week, really, I think, set their direction towards simplifying what we have been working over the last couple of years and trying to focus on 2 or 3 specifics in terms of strategic economic development projects and those maintenance ongoing programs that we've been working on for the last few years. Community support for Beautify. We need to get creative. We are hoping that maybe the community members, businesses, we may be able to find people that'll help donate towards those in the future, and maybe have some of those businesses or community stakeholders adopt some of the beautification efforts that we do. Evaluate and support potential projects. That's what we're going to do in terms of looking at the various potential redevelopment sites. Seeking private investment. Again, the goal is to build TIF, but we've got to make sure that we have partners along the line there that can help us grow the dollars and reinvest in the community. To draw people to Comstock Center is our ultimate goal. That includes not only investments by businesses, but giving the community more reasons to come down here with events, with projects, with, feeling safe and feeling like there's more opportunities for shopping and or restaurants. And then finally, again, we are always concentrating on safety improvements, and once again, here is maybe an opportunity that our DDA can partner with the township and other boards and committees to improve the atmosphere and improve the district itself. Okay. And then finally, our budget that was recently approved for this year, not much different from last year's. We have not, received any Township Board funding since, I think it was 2023, but we are still in a good financial status with our fund balance, and we do have a budget of about $87,000 this year, and that's supported by approximately a $57,000 transfer from the fund balance to our budget. So we are maintaining what we've been doing last year. We are going to seek and continue to seek grant dollars, meeting with businesses, trying to help them with their investment and their ideas and their direction for improving their buildings and filling those vacant spaces downtown in the district, especially a business like the former Comerica Bank. That's such a key parcel for us to work on, and we're hoping to work on that in the early phases of 2026. And that's what I have for you today. I hopefully will be back in the next couple months with some of the recommendations from the DDA board, where they see the strategies are for the coming year. And, even though our grand vision project is not taking place, there are those smaller projects that can probably do a significant amount of, impact in the district as some bigger projects. So we want to help those small businesses out, and we want to work hard to, allow the public to provide some feedback on what we present in the next couple months. So with that, I want to open it up if you have any questions.
Any board member questions? Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Moving along to fire and rescue, we have Chief Beauchamp, Assistant Chief recommendation.
Good evening. I'm honored to recommend to the board to promote Captain Mike Muehlman. Mike, you can stand up. To the position, the vacant position of the Assistant Fire Chief. Mike has done an outstanding job while acting in the position for several months now. The position was posted per policy, and we did work with Superintendent Hess on the promotional process.
Any questions for Chief Beauchamp? Be looking for a motion?
I move that we approve the promotion of Captain Mike Muehlman to Assistant Fire Chief.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Any board discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No opposed? Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
No speech? Okay. Nice presentation, though. With that approval, we are going to have a badge pinning ceremony for Deputy Chief Thompson. He's been in the role for several months now, and Assistant Chief Muehlman tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., Station 9-1 on River Street. So I look forward to any board members. I know it's short notice, but here we are making the recommendation tonight. So if you're able to attend 6 p.m. tomorrow, Station 9-1, for those two promotional ceremonies. The next item we have is a request to apply for fiscal year 2027 Michigan Office of Highway Safety and Planning grant. The application request would consist of up to $400,000 in personnel cost reimbursement, and this would be for supporting staffing of our traffic safety unit. So we are currently operating under this grant for the 2026 fiscal year. We requested just over $300,000, and we received back an award of up to $100,000. So it's on a reimbursement program. Our strategy is to show that we have used the funds well, assisting our neighbors, obviously responding to our community, and we're hoping to get an increase for the next fiscal year. So we're requesting to be able to apply for that OHSP grant.
Any board member questions for Chief Beauchamp? Be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the fire department's request to apply for the fiscal year 2027 Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning Grant.
Support. Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Amos. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, thank you. And I would like to make a comment on the new fire station proposal and the bond process before we turn it over to the finance director here shortly. The fire department did make a couple recent presentations by actually two of our captains. Thought they both did a great job. And I believe any of the questions that were brought up this evening by the community were addressed in those presentations. So I'd encourage community members that have questions to reach out, maybe look back at those videos. We're always available to discuss it one-on-one or over the phone or whatever works better. The fire department is planning on having a question and answer open house at both our stations 9-3 and 9-1 once the weather gets better. And just a reminder, on station 9-1, the intent is to move the training room from there to the new station so we can convert the training room into some offices and living quarters. We're not expanding station 9-1 or replacing station 9-1 in our proposal. Additionally, we did acquire this land on East Michigan, just under 3 acres in 2018, and the fire department has been making presentations, conversations, and significant planning since then, and even before, but really 2018 was, we got serious on it when the township acquired that land. So this has been going on for a while. You know, it's well thought out. Again, we're not proposing to increase the fire department operating or capital assessment districts because of this over the term of a bond. And if everything goes well, our intent would be is to pay it off early. So I'm always available to answer any questions on it, and appreciate it.
Any questions for Chief Beauchamp? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I believe we're ready for you, Brett.
Just waiting to be recognized. Thank you. Okay, so I have tonight step one, I guess, in the construction process for the replacement of 9-3. It's the resolution of intent is what we're calling it, but basically it's a resolution authorizing you to publish the notice of intent to issue bonds in the newspaper. That's what the resolution accomplishes. The actual publication that will be in the paper is on page 46, Exhibit A, and that lists out everything that needs to be published in order to make it legal. This starts, as was mentioned, the 45-day referendum period. The date of, I'm sorry, not the resolution, the date that it's published in the paper starts the clock on the 45-day referendum period. And then if that right of referendum isn't taken advantage of, then the process moves forward. There's a couple of things in between, sending the bond specifications, construction bids, and all that. The bond authorizing resolution is currently scheduled to be June 1st. Then there's some S&P ratings that happen in between. Construction bids approved on July 20th. But the final date in which you have to finally decide, I guess, without penalty to the township's credit rating is when the notice of sale is published by the bond council, which is August 10th. I said last time it was the bond authorizing resolution, but it's actually, when you actually post the bonds for sale, that's the point of no return. I just wanted to make that clear. I misspoke at the last meeting. You can, but it will damage the township's credit rating. I'll just add that to it. So if you have any questions on the resolution, I can answer those. I can also answer some of the questions from the public comment if you'd like me to do that.
Yeah, if you would address those, please.
I was going to say I'll leave to why we need it to the chief, and he already spoke to that. But one, it's not a fourth station, I guess. It's replacing 9-3, so we're just moving it down the street. So we're not adding another station. We're replacing 9-3. The money that's being spent on the station can only be spent on capital purchases. So if we don't spend it on the station, we can't move it to somewhere else and spend it on something else that's non-fire related. Also, we're using the existing capital assessment, which I just mentioned. So So there's no new taxes. Oh, that was the other thing. The reason that it's not going to the public is because we're not asking for a new millage. You know, if a school, generally the schools go to the voters to approve a millage to pay for the bonds. We're not doing that. We're using an existing assessment. That's the reason why we don't need to go to the voters. We certainly can, but it's not necessary because we're not asking for new money. Just wanted to make that clear. Bonds to pay for purchases are pretty common in government. We don't use them very often here because we haven't had any big purchases really in the past, but it is common practice in the government world. I'll put that in quotes.
Any board questions? And so in the bond, the 13, is it 13.5, right? 13 million?
Up to 13.5 is what the bonds we're looking to sell. It could be less depending on, I don't know when we may sell the old station, but that's not included in any of this. That would be extra money to put towards the bond, but that's not figured into any of this. So the maximum amount to borrow is 13.5 million. The intent is to put down 2 million in money that's already been saved and then bond for the remaining 13.5.
Yeah, I was just looking for clarification from with the 2 million down in the 13.5.
Right. Is that, I'll ask the chief, is that correct? Or is the 2 million, is it 13.5 minus 2 million or is it 13.5 after the 2 million?
Yes.
We looked at so many numbers, I can't.
Yeah, it's 13.5 minus the 2 million, and I believe that the bond counsel or the bond attorney recommended to go for the full amount, but we would be, depending on when construction bids come back and that sort of thing. But essentially the 2 million would pay for the soft cost of this, architectural fees that were approved at the last meeting, those type of things, so about 2 million of that. So ideally, our goal is to not exceed borrowing more than 11.5 million. And that's our goal. And based on what we're seeing trending in the construction world, working with our architects, nearby fire stations, it looks like we're on track at this point, you know, until we receive the bids.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions?
I have a question, Chief, please. So let me understand this correctly. You said you've saved $2 million for this project?
That's correct.
How long did it take you to save that? How'd you do it?
We have saved it over the course of, since 2021, 2022 formally saving for it, having it on our capital improvement plan and then presented it as part of our capital expenditures. So we've been taking care of the purchase that we needed to and saving up through the capital program through the fire department.
Speaker went off, I'm sorry. It seems to me like, yes, you've been spending a lot of money preparing for this, correct?
We have.
Yeah, I see it come through, so I know. Yeah. So I guess because there is a lot of controversy over this, and this is the elephant in the room tonight, I guess I hate the thought of bonds and borrowing money. I would love to see you save and spend and save some more money for a little further down the road is where I'm at with this project. And I know you've been working on it a long time, but to me, it's been a rough couple of years for our fire department with equipment.
Yeah, and that was, insurance covered. Mm-hmm. So we were beat up pretty bad last winter, yes. So that was, insurance covered that. So there was minimal out of pocket that occurred with that. The thought of saving for it, we do have a history of borrowing money. So the Station 9-2, for instance, was a fraction of the cost, smaller station. This just wasn't designed to do what we're trying to do with this one. And we did borrow money to be able to keep our capital improvement program going. Our fear with waiting for it is that the cost of building and construction is going to continue to go up, and we still got to make purchases. So if we wait and the costs continue to go up, then we're saving more, and there's still other purchases to go on. So for instance, in about 6-7 years, it would be the next engine to be replaced. That's about the time that we've seen our capital program that's included in our capital program to pay off the bond, pay it off early, and be able to purchase that rig. If we don't, are we going to be able to still purchase apparatus and vehicles if we wait to save? It just feels like it's going to be a carrot that we can never get to because we're saving and we're saving, but yet the cost continues to go up and go up.
And I guess that was where my mind was going, that 2.5 mils, how much of that 2.5 mils is going to go to pay that bond a year? Do you happen to know that number? You or Brett?
I don't offhand. I have.
Okay,
And it is 2.25.
it's 2.25, okay.
2.25 for capital, and it's been that for a couple of years now. The bulk of the purchases, so there's not, as I mentioned, year 6 or 7 from now is when an apparatus is. So from there, it's smaller purchases. So staff cars, you know, if there's a parking lot need, stuff, not a maintenance, but more of a capital side between now and then. So the bulk of it between now and that 6 or 7 year mark will be going for this project. So we don't have another big purchase. There's no roof replacements between now and then, and there's no apparatus replacement until year 6 or 7. So the bulk of it goes towards the station.
Any further board member questions? I just have one, and then we'll have Trustee Amos. At what point with bonds, are the prepayment penalties, early prepayment penalties, is that a standard or is it negotiated in each bond? And at what point is that information discovered?
Sure. It will be, I believe it will be negotiated during the bond process. For example, our sewer lift station that we bonded for, there's an early payoff, but it's only in full, and we're looking to negotiate some sort of partial prepayment so that we can make extra payments on it, but that it's negotiable.
Thank you. Trustee Amos?
Well, I have a couple comments about this new fire station that I'd like to make. First of all, ever since I've been on the board, we always opt out of paying our 20% or 10%, I think it is, on the insurance because, and I was told, well, why is that? And that's because the firefighters can't afford it to pay their percentage of the insurance. And then as we've gone along, we've lost firefighters. And I've asked the question, well, why did they quit? Well, it was because we don't pay them enough. And yet we're going to pay $13 million or so for a new building. And the township can't afford to buy the emergency fire the sirens we want because we don't have enough money. I don't know, this just all doesn't make sense to me that how this is going, and we don't seem to have enough money to do all these things, but we can build a $13 million fire station.
But
Trustee Cherry?
Yes, but the bonds can't be used for salary and wages. So, I mean, they're two separate things, apples and oranges.
Use bond money.
So.
If I could comment to that too. I would ask Brett to explain that to Trustee Amos so he understands a little bit more on where the fund comes from and how we can or cannot spend those funds.
Sure. Are you talking about the capital improvement fund? Right. So that's not spent on salary and wages, but it can be it could be spent on any capital purchased by the fire department. I guess that's the short answer.
Right.
And those are the funds that we're dedicating to this bond. We're not using general fund dollars or, I don't know, police money or parks money. It's all from the fire capital improvement fund, if that makes sense.
Trustee McIver, do you have anything, any questions, comments?
No, I really don't. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Trustee Pratt?
Not today.
Oh, yeah. Right, sorry. He just wanted me to mention, we have been talking to our municipal advisor about the fact that we want to have the early, or the prepayment option in there. So when they go to sell the bonds, during the bond sale process, that will be advertised, that we want that in the agreement. Because the intent is to pay it off early, as we did with 9-2, as we will with the sewer bond. When we can pay it off, we will.
Thank you. If there's no further comments, questions, be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2026-3 to purchase, acquire, and construct capital improvement and to publish notice of intent to issue bonds.
Support. Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. Discussion? Trustee Cherry, do you have anything? Trustee Amos?
I'm good.
Discussion? Trustee Pratt?
Nothing, thank you.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
I see and I hear the residents, and I understand it. I also hear them talking about how they struggle to pay their property taxes. And Brett can correct me if I'm wrong here, please, but I think this municipality is one of the highest for foreclosures for property taxes.
Could be, I can check.
I remember hearing that when we were visiting with Sarah from the county. So that kind of bothers me. While I have nothing against the fire department, they do a great job. I think Chief Beauchamp does a great job managing the finances for that and running the fire department. I just feel like this is not quite the time for this. And I understand costs go up, but that 2.25, that's been, just continues to go up little by little, could have been going back to the residents instead of to build a new fire department. But I blame that on how this board voted when we were doing our budget for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Trustee MacGyver?
No, I really don't have any comments right now that would be meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Beauchamp?
Yeah, I just, to Treasurer Bloomfield's point, I understand as well our high taxes here, and we do have high taxes in Comstock. I do understand, though, that we have a special assessment already in place, and there have been assurances that it would not be raised. If the special assessment is raised, it would be raised by this board, and not by the state, not by anyone else but this board. So we ultimately have the authority to make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm comfortable with moving forward with this.
Thank you, Clerk Beauchamp. I understand over the last couple of years, prices have continued to go up, but I think with inflation, at some point, maybe might need to knock on this table, but I don't know. At some point, we may level off. And I have a lot of friends that I talk to in construction, and it does appear that there is some hope for materials to kind of level off at some point, and the idea is how much more expensive can things get. I also, similar to the sirens, I really liked what Brett did for us to put a little bit more visual to it. And I know it's hard to get the cart in front of the horse, but in the instance that with the renewable energy, we do obtain a grant for $2 million. What happens if this board decides to put that $2 million somewhere to kick around a little bit of interest to make a little bit of money with some of that money in hopes of maybe not having to issue a bond so high? I'm all in support of the fire department. I think they do a great job. I was looking through the bylaws just to kind of comb over things, and on my part as a board member, and I can't speak to things that happened prior to this board, but item number D is the ability, encourage the free expression of opinion by all board members and seek communication between the board and the community. And I know I have not done that, and it's hard to do that because I don't want my seeking input to be flipped politically, but I did get elected by constituents, and I personally haven't done a lot of information gathering or sought input, and I don't know that we as a board have done that. I have heard the town hall idea, concept. It's a lot of money. I think it's good to be cognizant of it. I could use a little bit more data, a little bit more information to make a sound decision. But that is my input. If anybody, yes, sir.
Sorry, just to be clear, I know I said this before, but you're not approving the fire station tonight. You're just starting the clock on the publishing and the 45-day referendum period. All the information that you're looking for, we still could do. We've got plenty of time. This just kind of legally starts the process so that if you want to build a station in the future, you've started the clock. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
A question for you. So would you then legally be obligated to borrow those monies?
After tonight? No.
If they were issued?
If they were issued?
Yeah, so tonight we would be making...
All you're doing is publishing a notice in the newspaper that you may or may not borrow money. That's all we're doing tonight. You're not approving any contracts, you're not borrowing any money, you're not putting anything out to bid. All you're doing is publishing this notice in the newspaper. That's all tonight is.
And then what's next after it's published? Obviously, the right of referendum, the time frame.
Yeah, preparing, after the referendum period's over, you prepare the construction bids. And then sorry, let me grab my calendar. I highlighted some items. Okay. So once the referendum period expires, we're going to send the bond specifications to the bond council. We're going to send out construction bids. Then the board, if they so choose, will approve a resolution authorizing the bond, which still isn't, you're not committing to anything then either. You're going to distribute the point of sale to the working group, request bond ratings, get construction bids back. You're going to approve the winning bid if you so choose. Send a couple more notices, another rating call, do a lot of stuff in between that happens between the bond council and the registered municipal advisor. Then finally in August, you would authorize the bond council to publish the notice of sale out to all banks so that they could bid on it. That's when you would be obligated to borrow the money.
But then in that process, we've likely spent close to 500,000, probably architectural, bidding, bond council.
Correct. Well, the bond council only gets paid if you borrow the money. You'll have to pay for incidentals if they've come to the township at all. But their percentage is taken from the bond proceeds. So if you don't sell the bonds, you don't pay them. But we are in process of getting the architectural, so we're spending money on that. Getting however much it costs to ask for the construction bids, you'll be spending that. Registered municipal advisor is the same. They only get paid from the bond proceeds, so you'd be only paying, if you had them come to the meeting, paying their incidental costs, things like that.
Thank you, Brett.
So you will be spending money, but again, all of that money will be reimbursed, or will be taken from the proceeds of the bond. If you don't have to do that, but you can do that.
Thank you. Any further board member questions for Brett? Treasurer Bloomfield? No. Trustee McIver? No. Clerk Beauchamp? Trustee Pratt? No. Trustee Amos? Trustee Cherry? Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
No.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
No.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
No.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Please, no comments. We're moving along to Clerk Beauchamp for early voting agreement.
As you may recall, earlier last year, we discussed Comstock joining in a municipal agreement with Galesburg to conduct early voting. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to review the early voting agreement that was in the packet. The agreement outlines each jurisdiction's rules and cost percentages to jointly conduct early voting. This year, early voting will take place July 26th through August 1st before the August 4th primary, and August 25th through August 31st through the November 3rd general election. Early voting will not take place before the May 5th special election. We do have an election in May, but it's a local election, and early voting only happens before state and federal elections. So we are required to submit an approved agreement to the county clerk, and the county clerk collects all the agreements from the local clerks or jurisdictions and sends them to the Secretary of State. So I'm just looking for approval of the agreement tonight, and if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Clerk Beauchamp? If there's no further questions, I'd be looking for a motion.
I can attempt to make it. I make a motion, we approve the early voting agreement as laid out.
Motion made by trustee Cherry.
Support.
Supported by trustee Pratt. Do we need a roll call vote this one?
We can.
Roll call vote?
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
No.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda is a request for partial release of farmland development rights, PA 116. I'm going to ask Attorney Thal to speak on this.
All right, this comes as a request from a farmer. The PA 116 program, which is Farm is In, is a program where you can commit to exclusive farming use of your property for a number of years. If you do that under the state program, then you get certain tax benefits from doing that. It does allow for, under the program, for carving out a tract of 2 acres for a home. So that is what is being proposed here. But we have to, when this PA 116 agreement was first initiated, it would have come to this board. We would have approved the PA 116 agreement for the locking up the farmland originally. And so now, because they want to pull out the one of the tracts for 2 acres, which a home is located on, that has to come here to this board again to, and it's coming with a request to remove it from the PA 116 program. The rest of the property will remain in PA 116, used exclusively for farm use. So the resolution is necessary. It would go to the state, and the state would then take a look at the transaction and determine if there's potentially a clawback of tax revenues that from the exemption for that parcel.
Thank you, Attorney Thal. Any board member questions? Trustee Cherry? Trustee Amos? Trustee Pratt?
None, thank
Clerk
you.
Beauchamp? Trustee McIver?
Nope.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
No.
Thank you, Attorney Thal. Be looking for a motion.
I move we approve resolution 2026-2 for a partial termination of a farmland development rights agreement with pre-existing structure.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving along to trustee, we have the homeless committee update. Trustee Cherry?
No, I was just hoping to, since you were the chair of the committee, we haven't really heard anything about it, and I was just wondering how it was going.
Thank you. Yep, I'd be glad. I was going to have Dakota, if he was here, speak on it, since he's kind of headed that up. I'd be glad as chair to speak on it. We had our first presentation and our first meeting. It did get delayed a little bit just to arrange the first speaker. And we thought it was really important for the first speaker was David Jude from the city of Kalamazoo. And some of the information, it was appropriate to have a meeting in the back room and not a public recorded meeting because some of the data was confidential. What we did in that one was we learned the standards of a proper trespass form, a proper way to trespass, and by proper I mean legal way to do it. We learned about, say for example, if there would be a shopping cart with an individual's belongings left in a public area, or, and I'd have to ask Attorney Thal on this one, but I know it was a public area like a park or a sidewalk. If the property was left unattended, years ago when Mr. Jude first started working with the police department, they could just remove that property. But now the courts have kind of stricken down, and you cannot remove that property without a notice. And so you have to put a proper notice together. There was also having an ordinance allowed the township, or the city of Kalamazoo in this instance, and they're pretty, it's interesting for them because they are the police department and they make the ordinance, versus we would have the ordinance and then count on the county sheriff. And so on that committee, we have 3 residents, one which happens to be a Parks Board member, which is interesting. One of the members is a VFW member, Township Board member, a VFW member, and then Dakota for staff, and then the Sheriff's Department. And then we looked at that by having an ordinance and having a trespass form that would be proper. Our ordinance would be able to be a little bit more strict than state law, as far as like, Attorney Thaw, is it 90 days when you trespass somebody? Is that a typical?
Well, I mean, typically we'd use an ordinance to trespass, and then it's a matter of giving them notice. Once they've been given their formal notice, then it's immediately effective.
Yep. And so there was something about a state statute granted X amount of days, and an ordinance, you could be a little bit more stringent. So we learned about trespassing, we learned about ordinances that would go along with that, and then we learned that in the parks has an ordinance for different things that would be, say, a nuisance, but a public space, like township land that's not a park, there's like an overlapping area that's not covered. So we addressed that, and then we addressed kind of the nuances with public space and private land. So that is one thing that we want to develop with Dakota, so he can lawfully be able to do that. The Sheriff's Department can recognize it. And then on the other side of things is we want to put some resource solutions together. So we've done a little bit of a divide and conquer. We begin talking to Attorney Thaw a little bit to comb over the ordinance and the trespass form. Once we get that completed, the Kalamazoo Police Department redacted some of the information on the presentation, shared that with us, and then the other part of the committee is working on gathering resources. So reaching out to community partners to see who wants to help and where they want to help. And then our next presentation is Thomas, the treasurer for Kalamazoo County, and he is going to talk about the foreclosure process and talk about things that they're doing to help those who are facing the foreclosure process. And then he's also going to give us some insight on like resources. Myself or Dakota got invited to the Kalamazoo City Police meeting where once a month they have community partners that they utilize and they talk on how they're going to address their problems. It wasn't an extended invite forever. It was come see what we're doing and then go back to your community and make your own. So we're going to start doing that. So our next meeting is Wednesday, February 18th at 5 o'clock, and that is going to be a public meeting. Any board member questions?
Yes. First of all, I will let public media know.
Yes.
I was not aware of that. So let them
Just found
know
that out.
February 18th at 5 o'clock. Okay.
We just scheduled the meeting today.
Okay, excellent. And then do you have a timeline for when you hope to have an ordinance prepared to submit to the board, or do you have a plan on all the speakers that may come before you?
A little bit of our hiccup was the coordination of our first 2 speakers. They weren't available at different times. We hope at the next meeting that we can present some of the findings of the trespass form, and the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department is working with their attorney to see their trespass mechanism, because they also may have found an area of maybe discrepancy on what the city of Kalamazoo is doing compared to what they're doing, and they want to find a way to do it better. So I think February 11th, we're going to hear back from them. And what we would like to do is have synergy with the Sheriff's Department. And if we have a trespass form, we'd like to use the same form that they're using. So hopefully Dakota and I can work on some of that ordinance trespass part. And then at that meeting on February 18th, we'll be learning and then the board's going to bring some of the recommendations of the community outreach and the partners who would want to support. And so far, there's a handful of them that want to participate. From there, we were hoping that Thomas is going to recommend a couple speakers, and then we've reached out to the Kalamazoo Gospel Mission. Perhaps we thought that that would be an appropriate one for presentation. And their process is a little more complex. You can't just show up. So we thought kind of getting a good group of who's available and when and how you can accommodate that third Wednesday of the month to find the speaker at the time. So we're still working on it.
Okay.
And I would think if it was okay with the board, we're trying to keep expenditures as low as possible, let the sheriff's department spend money with their attorney on their form, and then obviously it's gonna take some, we need our township attorney to look over our ordinance and things like that. But we do want to have free speakers that come and inform us. And so if the duration, I think Dakota and I were a little advantageous at the beginning. We thought we would be able to do it a lot faster than once we got together with a group and everybody's schedule got together, things kind of got pushed out. So I would suspect it's going to take a little longer than anticipated. Hopefully, in the forefront of it, we can develop the trespass form and the ordinance in the early phases of it, so we can get something for Dakota for him to start being able to utilize out in the real world. And then later, continue to build the resource solutions. And we call it resource solutions because we can offer help, but people have to be willing to want to take that help. And we're open for ideas and support, and if you know anybody and you want to pitch the idea of support, we don't have a formal ask, but we are asking if any organizations want to be of support. So far, we've reached out to Consumers Energy. They want to introduce us to their real estate team and their community outreach. Kalamazoo Community Church wants to work with us to provide, like, if there's an event or anything, to provide staff. Let's see here. The Comstock School District wants to participate. Don't quote me on this, but there's a statistic, and I got a phone call I have to return for the formality. I believe it may be 1 in 5 school children are facing some sort of level of not homelessness by not having a house, but not a measurement that they are theoretically unhoused, but maybe living with somebody else. And then a measurement of poverty that would kind of put them, so we're gonna seek data from the school, and then the school has a bus that helps deliver food to unhoused children, and so we're working with the school district to help with the school. They want to be a partner, and then they also recommended, like, for outreach, that they will publicize it. They do a weekly and a monthly newsletter, and any outreach, anything that the committee needs of support or help, the school would be willing to publish that. So from there, we're just going to keep looking for help.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Very much.
Thank you. Superintendent Hess, we have the employee handbook update from Board Consulting.
Yeah, let's go through the ones you pulled off for the approval of the consent agenda. You had questions for, I think we can start with the assessing renewal contract.
Yes, thank you. I was just curious if in the marketplace of assessing the rates and things like that, if there was any other bids to compare to.
Let me give you the history a little bit. So when I started in 2016, we had a full-time assessor and an assistant assessor, really to do the complete job of that. And with benefits and everything, I think we were roughly over $220,000 because of the assessors are somewhere in the market, probably 100, 120,000 now, and then assistants 50 to 60, and then benefits. So way back when, we contracted with Appraisal Plus Group, and the reason there's 2 different contracts, one with Kevin Harris is part-time, and I just stay with what the state has always said, is that the assessor needed to be an employee of the township. I don't know if they've ever changed that, but I've always stayed with keeping that employee in here. So Appraisal Plus Group, actually, we have access to about 4 level 3 assessors, and Kevin's one of those. Kevin is our main assessor, but Appraisal Plus gives us all the, gives us Lydia to do all the different things like that. So with this increase since 2021, I believe the contract was signed, they were at 108,000 for the Appraisal Plus, and then they were 34,000 for Kevin. So they haven't asked for renewal. It came up. The increase is up to 114, which is just 6K for Appraisal Plus, and then Kevin would go up 4K to 38. And that keeps kind of the benefits out, keeps consistency. I really don't have to, in an administrative piece, I don't have to have vacations I got to deal with or stuff like that. So they're always available by phone, by computer, whether they're here, and everything like that. So they've passed the AMAR successfully every time that's come through our township. They're a good group. There's very few groups out there, but they are a little larger, so, and they're not community-based, where ours are, Appraisal Plus does a lot of different communities. I think they even did Galesburg at one time, but I know they do multiple.
There are a lot in our area.
Yeah, I think they do about 20 in our area, so I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Any further board member questions on that?
Superintendent Hess, I think I have no problem with these, but I would also like to see that going out for bid. I am like you, when you find somebody good, you're loyal and you continue to work with them. But after working with them so long, I think it's just always a good time to just look out and take a look at some other bids, just so you know where you're at.
Yeah, no, I think.
And we're doing our due diligence.
The trigger mechanism was they didn't really ask for a big increase in the contract, but assessing is like one of those, and we'll get to the engineering services next, but it's one of those that they have a lot of knowledge and data of our township, and that is a key piece.
That was going to be one huge question that I asked was if you did get a better bid, what are the implications of like the rebatch time to kind of get caught up to speed?
And know the properties and know the data and stuff like that. That is a thing you can't measure because it is important to have that consistency in them, and they've done a good job. In fact, Ben Brousseau, who owns Appraisal Plus, used to do Comstock full-time back in way before my time. I can't give you the date, but he used to do this whole Comstock. And one of the things that is unique about Comstock and any of the other townships is we do a lot more in commercial. And that's takes a lot more skill set than it does residential. So, and they're pretty fluent in that. And then, I don't know your question, but I can kind of go in the engineering service engagement letter. That just, really, they send that out every year to state, here's our rates and everything like that. Doesn't mean we have to use them, because our Parks Department has used Whiteman before and put out for bid for different things. Typically, what we're really doing with Prime Newhouse, if the Planning Commission has anything that they need to review on prints or anything like that, we typically send them to them, unless there's a conflict of interest. Sometimes Brian Newhoff is doing a site assessment for ABC Company and they're coming through the Planning Commission, then we'll take that to another engineering service. One thing again with Brian Newhoff on the sewer side is, I hate to say it, but they know our sewer inside and out. It's kind of sound funny, but they were instrumental with the SAW grant with a previous supervisor, Neuenhuis. So they really have got all the data for the scope of all of our sewer and what the condition is and our water. So a lot of knowledge there in that, but that is one that just basically says, here's the rate if we use them, not necessarily if we have a project, for instance, of the fire department, if we want to go with a different engineer or something, then that's something we can bid out, so.
Okay, thank you. And then just the last one was the replacement of the door.
And FUMS, when we built this place, we've had these keypad systems. We've had issues with some of these locks. I actually have a bid, and I was a little shocked. It was to replace the one of the where the election equipment is, our IT, and this front door up here, just to go all key fob, because it's easier to, you don't have to change codes every so often. And so the bid actually for just the one system door, because they got to run cable out there, redo the whole door, was, I think it was a $3,200 in that bid. It was $64 to do all three doors. And I was kind of like, I thought that was a little high, but it is what it is. The other piece is my staff has been concerned. We've had some incidents in the lobby during the day, and they, at our old facility, we had a door lock system where they could just press the button and you know, lock the door if they see something going on out in the, you know, parking lot, and they want to refuse entry in, so for the safety, and that was the other additional $1,400, so.
And that would be just for the service door going in?
That would just be the one that's kind of getting some issues there that goes in and out. But if the board wants to, you know, go all 3 doors, I can always bring that back. These aren't as critical because they don't get the use. I mean, occasionally, you know, we have our public media, occasionally if the IT guy goes back there, and then, well, I'll let you speak on
The election?
the election room. She said she was fine with it.
I'm fine with
We
what's
don't
there.
have, it's not a major use of coming in and out. And that's more secured for the employees situation, so.
Any questions? My question would be just if we're gonna go with instead of the button and the code to get to the back, if the deputies would be granted the key fob in order to be able to go.
And we can address that. I'll address that in the second session here for the policies and procedures.
Okay.
Because it kind of ties into that a
Okay.
little bit, so. So I think you'd have to have a motion for those, because we did you do a motion? You didn't do.
Nope, we need,
Okay.
we'll start at the 2026 assessing renewal contracts with the Appraisals Plus group. Any questions for Superintendent Hess? Be looking for a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that for 2026 that we do the support the superintendent's renewal contracts for the Appraisals Plus group and Kevin Harris.
Motion made by Trustee Pratt,
Second?
supported by Clerk Beauchamp. Board member discussion? Any discussion? I serve on the Board of Review as the secretary, and I work with Kevin and Lydia, and it's quite interesting when people come and talk, and we have a lot of people to get through. I think that they do a fine job, and I enjoy working with them. There are no further board member discussion. Roll call vote?
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving along to the 2026 engineering service letter of engagement with Prine and Newhoff. Any questions for Superintendent Hess? If there are no questions, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move that we accept the 2026 engineering service letter of engagement with Perrin and Newhoff.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Trustee Pratt. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And now, I guess part of my question was going to be in favor of this block on how.
So there's two pieces of this. I just need to get this replaced or put just a lock, and then the staff's got to go open it, and then the door entry lock. I can skip to the consulting agreement that I had for the employee handbook. So kind of, I won't go into detail, but I'll go into some detail. So when I sent out this handbook, most of you probably say, why isn't it redlined? Well, I had Dory Consulting take our handbook, and with her suggestion back in November, she said it's best practices now to separate basically the manual, the personnel manual, okay, from the employee handbook. And basically what the manual does is the manual going over with Attorney Thal states all the laws, a lot of how we do things in the vacations, where The handbook, which I'm working on now, and I'm waiting for a lot more, I guess, policies, because now that we have an attorney policy, that's got to go in there so the staff knows. So that would be policy on security of the building, who enters, who gets, and that would be the board's decision when I put together the policy, how they want to word that. Other policies, because ours was so tied in, auto policy was one of them, you know, who can use the car, who can ride in the car. Well, that really shouldn't be in just our bulletproof handbook when a person applies. It should just be, here it is, here's the laws, here's our vacations, that's it. And we can go through, and I know it's a big book, and if anybody wants to sit down, but it was monotonous trying to take our old one and just redline it when she's like, I got to just start over and move exactly what needs to be structured into the personnel manual only. And then your policies, credit card policy, all that stuff shouldn't really be in the manual, because when somebody's getting hired, they're not going, oh, geez, a credit card. I mean, those are the policies that should be, they have to sign off when they come, because policies change a lot. This manual probably won't change a lot unless there's like Rob found a couple little laws that we sharpened up, or I guess, I guess it'd be employment laws that, and we took probably got 2 hours on this, even after the consultant did, just to make sure it was crisp and clean. And then the handbook will be how we operate internally. Does that make sense?
It is.
So that's why I really had her just go, start it from scratch and go, because it was too monotonous to go, okay, we got to pull this out, put this in, put this out. So as you see, and if the board really isn't comfortable tonight, I can meet one-on-one and go over there wasn't really any major changes except for basically law. I mean, there was.
Yeah, so, Scott went through it with the consultant to provide this manual. And then I went over it more recently just to go through, make sure all the laws were correct and the legal aspects are correct. I've looked at a lot of personnel policies, and again, you might need more time to review it or whatever, but it's a really good policy manual from the standpoint, it's very well laid out, very readable. I've seen a lot that are, just much more difficult to get through, but this is really well laid out. It's I think a pretty good policy. I went through and, updated whatever I needed to in terms of some legal matters, but otherwise, it's really, again, it's policy of this board, to adopt it and adopt the provisions of it. So I'm not telling you what you have to adopt in it, but the way it is, it's very well drafted and looks good from a legal standpoint.
Okay. I just wanted, I understand the handbook I thought it would be appropriate if we do make the decision. I think we should work on getting that door fixed as soon as possible. And I thought if Deputy Knight needed to come in and sign checks, if he had to ask somebody every time he needed to get in the door, if this board wasn't going to grant a key fob for him to get in the door, I was not going to be in favor of that versus when he could just press a button and walk in.
Yeah.
Or my deputy, if I have to meet him at the back door to let him in, it would be, I think, pretty reasonable to have them be able to have a fob, but we can work on that through a policy.
So the handbook's going to go day-to-day administration operations. So if the board says, I only want X amount of people back there, or I want all the employees have to park over in that corner so that the public gets access to the front. I mean, those are the things that really need to be separate, and then those are always kind of workable that you guys can change at any time, and we don't have to go and redo this the policy manual, because the policy manual, I'm probably guessing is probably going to be good unless they change something in ESTA, which you caught one of them. I didn't tell the fire chief about that one yet, but that's probably going to be pretty solid for another 3 to 4 years unless the state or the federal change some type of ruling. So
sounds good.
All right.
So we'll move back to the replacement of the employee door entry system and lock by EPS. Any questions for Superintendent Hess? If not, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve or accept the EPS bids as presented.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, seconded by Trustee MacGyver. Board member discussion? If there's no discussion, roll call vote?
Trustee MacGyver?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And with the employee handbook, would there be any questions for Superintendent Hess or Superintendent Hess? Do you have anything further for us?
I mean, it took Rob and I a good 2 hours to go through line by line, because I wanted to make sure not only our consultant, who does this on a daily basis, but it's always, she says, consult our attorney. I wanted Rob really to go through, and he cleaned up, I don't know, probably 10 items or more that were pretty good. I mean, because laws do change, and he's our attorney, so, but if that's something that the board wants to wait another meeting, that's fine with me. It just has, you know, one of the, I'll tell you one of the things is, you'll see in the PTO is probably not confusing, but we separated ESTA, which is a sick time, and then we used to have vacation and, personal days, and we just blended it. So when you see that, it doesn't say 40 hours, it says 56 hours, because we just blended those two together we just cleaned up a lot of little stuff that was done, but I think that's it. I unless you have something.
Yeah, no, I went through the whole thing word for word, you know, and it took a while to go through that and check all the statutes and check all the laws on it. And I would just say that if you want to wait, fine, but don't wait too long, because you should, it's a good policy, it's up to date, and you should get this stuff in place to bring your policies up to date.
Thank you, Attorney Thal. My only question on the policy was township staff, if 30 hours was considered full-time. And so is that a new law, or how did that get to that point?
The 30, I don't know what you considered it before. I mean,
I think we had it at 32, and then I think Matt can help me on this, the consultant said it was 30 hours for full-time classification.
So just the way of the world's maybe changed. Maybe it was a bias thing that 40 hours was a full work week.
Well, you can make them work longer.
I gotcha. I just didn't know. I just was always familiar with it.
But it's just become full-time versus part-time.
At 30 hours, you become full-time.
Yeah.
I got it.
Because I know that the benefit.
Yeah, a lot of it is benefit-driven. So,
because if you're part-time and you're over 30, I gotta get health benefits, so.
Yeah, so that's the big thing, is that's the difference. Why you have the difference really is because below, you're not providing benefits.
Except for that was one of the fireside,
right?
That was one of the fireside, because we were like, oh, if we do, you know, we'd have a big upswing in,
so it's essentially however you want to classify it.
No,
Fires.
The fire's different because the way it's classified.
I see.
They run kind of on their own.
They have their own fair labor
They're
standards.
48 hours or 212 a month without overtime. So we're 40 hours, I mean, if you were hourly, and anything over 40 is overtime. So fire's one of those, you know.
They have their own provisions under fair labor standards.
Rules and caveats, so.
Any board member questions for Attorney Thal, Superintendent Hess, Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes. Superintendent, how many employees do we have that are part-time out of everyone?
One, on our side, so, because we run under the EIN number of everybody, so the fire department, the library, but they have their own manual, but for insurance reasons, you run under that same EIN if you're asking about insurance, but I'm trying to think, one, two, Bobby at the transfer station, and then, Monica.
And Kevin would be.
And Kevin, yeah, because we hired him as a part-time.
So we have three that we're not doing health insurance for, because we have that set at 30?
Yeah, well, Kevin's even lower than that, so I think Kevin states his hours are lower. And then Bobby's only averages roughly 20 hours a week.
The other question I had, and I didn't have enough time to look at this, because like you said, there is a lot to take in here, was the policies, and we had just done those for Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that those were going to be the
Those are going
same.
into step 2 that you can come into I can send you kind of what I have so far, but those are all gonna be, because there's some old ones in there. You know, for built, we don't really we need to update our building policy, but some of the policies that you guys just went through about who can contact the attorney, this would be only on the staff side. This is not board side. So when they could contact that according to that policy, if we have a bid policy, so that would be in there per department, how they're gonna go about through bidding, you know, how they're gonna.
If you come across that old one, I'd sure like to have it.
Oh, I have it. I mean, it's our old handbook, but it's monotonous because it has half of this in there and half of all the other, but I'll give you the handbook. It's just a regular handbook.
And I've gone through
Remember the
that.
big one that had the three
binder thing,
No,
yep.
fire department, parks, and, us, township, it had a badge on there, and each one, like fire department, if certain things were theirs, it was just monotonous. So I'll send it to you.
Okay,
right on
thank
our
you.
shared drive, so, and it's the same one, it's the same one that's on the, iSolve, if you went to iSolve. And then, just to answer your question, not to answer it, but when this gets implemented, then it'll be resent out to everybody to sign on iSolve to say this is updated,
Yep.
they'll have to sign, so.
And then as far as the handbook, the first part of it, policy is continuous improvement, like we can keep adding on.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions? If not, be looking for a motion.
I move that we accept the 2026 updated employee handbook.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving along to superintendent report.
Yes, and I'll send everybody a copy of we started to dissect the employee handbook so everybody can kind of see that formatted. So,
Okay.
The other piece that we haven't Brett and I met with the sheriff's department because we have our police protection millage is going to come up this year. So we wanted to kind of get kind of what the cost would be. I think I mentioned before that the sheriff has proposed that the townships contribute more to the vehicle expense and besides the officer expense. So we kind of wanted to get a grasp on that. So Brett and I are going to create a survey, and we're talking about it's probably come back to the board, and it might be 3,000 or 4,000. I don't know, it depends on, we got to get a cost yet, but we'd like to send this, we'd like to somehow touch everybody in the community and give them kind of the scenario as, you know, we can continue what we have. It's one officer 24/7, and then and we're not going to put a cost because it's kind of monotonous unless the board wants to do that. Go with no police protection or double our police protection. So it'd be 2 officers in this area or more. So we're kind of creating that template so that we can come back and kind of give that data to the board and say, hey, this is kind of what we're hearing. And because we probably would shoot for an August to put on the ballot. And if it was, let's say, higher, everybody said we want more police protection, and then it failed, then at least the board has the option to, I think, get it on the November ballot if they wanted to go back to just the standardized protection. And that police protection millage, it's pretty open, so if somebody else bid on it besides the sheriff, that's more than merrier at that time. But this would just be for the millage. And they gave us good data. We even looked at not only having our one person 24/7 and then, or 2 people 24/7, but actually having a third person that would work days just on the corridor of Gall Road, because if you look at our stats that you get monthly, we, average 30 plus, shoplifting, and that takes about 2 hours to process or more. I don't know what it's taking them now, but that really ties our officer up quite a bit for 30 days, 2 or 3 hours a day. So that's what we're working on. I have a meeting tomorrow with the land bank on our Lombard property because the funding wasn't there to get that Lombard up to the rental spec that we looked at years ago. The land bank is going to meet with me. They're going to probably write a letter to the board asking if the township would donate that property to them. They have more access for funding, that they can make that into a true fourplex, low-income housing or affordable housing, I should say. And I think Land Bank, because they're kind of getting into managing properties of that sort now, and we don't really do that. So I'll be bringing that to the board with their letter. I just completed another round of the 1.6 million Brownfield grant that was in partnership with the city of Kalamazoo and the county. They invited us the last time. We did not get that, but we have a little bit better chance, I think, this time. So that would open up Brownfield grant roughly around $600,000 for our community, and we'd be the only township. Now, if we didn't use that, we can actually offer to communities, neighboring communities, if they have brownfield issues that they need to do. So that we just secured that on, submitted it on last Friday. And then this stat came through, and I thought this was just really kudos to our community, but our hazardous waste that over on Lamont Street, that you can take paints, gas, everything like that. The 2025 stats were, the number one was City of Portage, 2,584 people. Utilized it with a repeat of 634. The second was Kalamazoo City at 2,444 at 630 that repeated. And then Comstock Township was number third, that 1,062 with 311 people that repeat use that place. And so I think that just states that how well we recycle and dispose of, hazardous and different things like that. And I think it shows that our transfer station also, that the people that go up there and recycle and utilize that transfer station. But this is pretty good stats. This will be in the board packet next meeting. It just came today. So I think that's all I got for today.
Any questions for Superintendent Hess? Thank you, Superintendent. Moving along to reports, we have cash summary by fund, December 2025, cash summary by bank account, December 2025. We have quarterly investment report, fourth quarter 2025, December 2025 fire report, 2025 year-end fire report, December 2025 Fire Department Public Relations Report, November 19th, 2025 DDA minutes, and bills paid January 8th through 22nd, 2026. Informational future action items, we have the USPS postmark statement, January 2026 CREC. We have FOIA requests. Moving along to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their time and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor. No other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members. But you're welcome to make an appointment with a supervisor or superintendent to discuss your comments further. The contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Karen Height. First thing I want to say is a thank you to Supervisor Martin for getting the warming station set up for that weekend when it was the sub-zero temperatures for our homeless people. He put it all together in a very short amount of time. Thank you so much. I take offense to what the gentleman in the back said about the same people always getting up and saying things and that we're the we, the us. I take offense to that. That's dividing our community even more by him stating that. I don't do a we or us. I do an I. I have questions. If I come up here, I have questions. I want my questions addressed. It's not a we or an us. I guess I don't understand the bond issue. If we're going to do $13.5 million in bonds for 15 years, and you're saying it's not going to increase my taxes, is that for the first year or is that for the life of the bonds? Because if you're going to guarantee me it's not going to go up next year, Fine. Are you going to guarantee me it's not going to go up the year after that? Because how does it get paid back? That money has to come from somewhere, and if you're not going to increase the taxes, how are you going to pay back that $13.5 million? It's got to come from somewhere, and where's your biggest amount of money that you're going to get? Out of taxes from the taxpayers, and we can't afford more. And there I said we, and that's everybody in the township. Can't afford to have our taxes keep going up. We have people that are moving out because they can't afford their taxes. My husband and I are personally looking to move out of the township because the taxes are so high. I can move back on my property in Charleston Township, build a brand new house, and pay less than what I pay here on 20 acres as opposed to less than a half an acre. So I don't understand how you can make that statement saying that you're not going to raise my taxes with this bond issue. The right to referendum, I think it needs to go to the voters. And I understand we're going to have that 45 days that we can go to the voters, get petitions signed, and get it put on the ballot so that the voters have to vote on it. Because I think that's what the people want. I don't think they want just the board approving this for the fire department. And I'm not saying that our fire department does not need things. And our fire department is wonderful. One thing I do have a question on, though, really quick, is my neighbor across the street, when his wife was falling down quite a bit, he would call and ask for an ambulance just to help get her up. And everybody would show up. Why? He asked for just an ambulance, for one person to show up and help get her up off the floor. That, to me, is a waste of taxpayer money, my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further citizen comment?
Okay, I don't have a problem with the fire department itself, but what I don't understand is why are we looking at land once again that's landlocked? They want Station 1 to be replaced too, but you're going to put it back on another. Station 3 is landlocked. Cynthia Platt goes right back, right there. There is no room for them to go. They're going to come back to us and want another Station 1 in another 7 years. I don't like the whole entire thing. We looked at it. We went down and looked at it. They are landlocked. They don't have any way to go to the sides because Western Breed's on one side, the tire place is on the other side. And we can't afford any more taxes. Maybe not everybody's taxes doubled, but ours did. And we still can't figure out why, unless it's landscape forms building on. But I'm just saying, it's not anything to do with the fire department itself. It's the fact that that land is landlocked, so they're going to want another building because every single one of those stations are landlocked. So they're going to keep coming back, wanting more and more buildings. Comstock is not that big. People are moving out, they're taking their kids and moving them to Galesburg because they don't want them here anymore. Galesburg has went up. Their school population has went up, it's doubled. And it's schools of choice, but Galesburg lets them in because that's the law and they've got room for them. So I'm just saying, why do you have to pick property that's landlocked? If you look at all three properties, they're landlocked. They cannot go any farther. This is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tammy Keeler. I don't want no eyes rolling this time, like it was last time. I don't like what Mr. Paget said, that this won't be on the public for that fire station. On us, on the taxpayers, I rent, so. But on the taxpayers, it has a lot to do with the taxpayers. Who's paying you? Who's giving you funds for everything? Taxpayers. You know, it's gonna come out of their butts. And don't tell me it's not. They're always asking for something, and they always get it when they already got it. 2 back-to-back trucks in 2 years. They just bought the fire chief a truck the year before, so then you go buy him another truck. What? That's a waste of money. What was wrong with the other truck? Wasn't good enough for him? Okay, I'm not saying the fire department does do a good job, but, you know, you don't need this. They already got access to this highway. They got access to it from River Street. Why do you need this? I got 2 volunteer firemen right down the road from me. And every time I called, I got them. You guys are just throwing that money away that you think that you're getting from this battery plant. Oh, let's just give it all to the fire department. Forget about the people. Forget about what we want. And then Superintendent Hess talks about, low-income housing. All your housing that you said is going to be low income is $2,000 or more. Come on, you guys. That's not low-income housing. That's not Section 8 housing. No senior can afford that. So you're sitting there saying, oh, we're building low-income housing. No, you're not. Just because you guys got money to spend $2,000, what? Just buy a house, for crying out loud. Why would somebody want to rent an apartment? And like she said, there's a lot of people selling their houses. I got 2 messages today, private messages. They are moving out of Comstock. They are putting their kids in Galesburg. If they do buy a house in Comstock, they're sure not buying it over there by where that battery plant's gonna go. They will not buy a house, purchase a house over there at all. They are taking their kids to Galesburg. They are moving to Galesburg because of this battery plant and all this, because they're afraid their taxes are going to go up after they buy. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I feel like my tax money is being wasted a little bit here. If I remember correctly, the township bought that land bank property up on Lombard for like $20,000 to $40,000. And now we're going to give it back to the land bank? If someone wants to give me $20,000 and I'll just flush it down the toilet, please let me do. Giving it back, we bought it from the land bank. So I don't know if that was a clerical error or mistake or something like that, saying we're going to give it back. But what do you mean you're going to waste $20,000 of my money? That could buy 1 or 2 tornado sirens. But again, this is like the problem that, I'm not going to use the word we here, the problem I have, I guess, stating that my taxpayer money is being wasted, that we bought that property to renovate it for homeless, for low income, to renovate it and everything like that, or buy it at a low cost to sell it to someone to renovate it. Now we might be giving it back to the land bank. What a bright idea was that, just because we couldn't get grant money? I guarantee there's probably about 5 or 10 people I can think on the top of my hand that would buy that property for the same price you guys bought it for and turn it into something with their own money. Because we have a lot of business people in Comstock that want to invest in Comstock because they like Comstock. But when they hear that we bought a property last year, the year before that, we're just going to give it away, $25,000 down the drain. What are we thinking, people? I mean, come on. And someone mentioned corruption a little bit ago and everything like that. And I don't know if this board is corrupted as the last board was, but I lost my home to Comstock Township because of the corruption with Consumers Energy, ITC, and people that used to work at Comstock Township and people that still do work at Comstock Township. It's sad that when people say there's no corruption and that the board won't find corruption. Well, I have spoke to a lot of board members, past, present, and people that have worked here, and no one seemed to give a damn about me losing my home that I lived for 26 years in because of Consumers Energy, ITC, and Comstock Township. no one cared at all. So there is corruption at local government. It's just you might not see it because it has never affected you like it has affected some people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments this evening?
Yes. Apparently I misspoke earlier when I thought it was a millage that was going to go through, that it's a bond. A bond that we got back, what? I don't know. We built that fire department 11 years ago. And then from what the fire chief said, I have nothing against the fire department. They're great. But then you're going to say in 2018, which was what, 2-3 years later, after you just built a new one, you're borrowing against it and making plans, anticipation, because you bought other property to build a bigger one? I just don't understand that. I don't understand how 3 years later, from building one, that you want to build a bigger one. So you've been borrowing against this bond and borrowing against this bond and saving it instead of buying us sirens or doing something with that budget. And why am I paying fire department taxes now on my income taxes if I don't understand it? If we're just going to keep building on locked land and can't build there, got to buy over here. Let's build a new one over here. Let's buy this truck for this fire department or this fire department. I mean, I remember Dick McCulloch used to, bless his heart, used to mow and take care of everything for Comstock. Everything by himself. And now we have to hire this all out? When he used to do, one person used to do it all himself. Bless his heart. I don't understand why you feel that Comstock residents have this much money and we don't. We don't have money to keep putting into the houses and our taxes because we're so much higher than everybody else. It's ridiculous. Comstock schools are tanked. I mean, our community. I mean, what it used to be when I went to school and when my kids went to school, and you just keep raising it more and more and more and more and more. And I don't see anything coming back to us. And this is not from the board that's here now. Well, a couple people that aren't from here from now, but it was from previous, you know, and I just don't understand that you're not, and you still didn't, 4 of you still didn't listen to what the community wants, what I want. And I don't want to pay any more taxes because I'm about ready to bail out of Comstock myself.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further citizen comment this evening?
Yeah, my name is Jenny Brisden. I live over 5641 East H Avenue. Getting back to this Lombard property, you know, that kind of really upsets me, you know, because I bought a house when I first moved into Comstock. It was 6321 East HL Avenue. That Lombard property was around that. So I cleaned that house up over real good. I tried to buy that property. I've been over there a million times trying to buy that property because I knew it was up for back taxes and stuff. And all I got was runaround from Comstock Township. Okay? So I finally sold that house and bought a house over in H Avenue. So I got a problem over there too, and I can't get that problem resolved because I don't know what the problem is, you guys, but it's just like you guys don't have your head on the right place. I don't know where you got up your butt or where you got it, but it's just, things ain't right. So somebody ought to start, you know, picking things up over here because things ain't good. I agree with them about moving out. That's what I'm thinking about doing too. And it's all you guys' fault because you guys would help some of these people out instead of just keep, you know, pushing them over the side and stuff. People get sick of that stuff, guys. So you ought to consider that.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments this evening?
My name is Jeff Ampey. I live at 5682 Lucerne. A lot of you know me from the service I put into this township as a planning commissioner 2 terms. Done a lot of community service in this community too. I've been here 30 years. I'm not going anywhere. But there's a cost. I've heard a lot about cost tonight and our tax money. There was an issue a while back that was a cost, not only monetary, but what's happening on this board, the divisiveness. And I haven't heard a lot talked about it. It was a lawsuit brought against the township by soil friends. And I want to...
Please let him speak.
Excuse me?
I was telling him to please let you speak.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, I want to read the outcome of that lawsuit. Probably won't get done with it, but there was a charge brought up against the township, First Amendment retaliation, that was dismissed. Unconstitutional conditions, dismissed. Violation of due process, dismissed. Regulatory takings, dismissed. Conspiracy to interfere with civil rights, dismissed. Violation of state law by preemption, the Michigan Liquor Control Code and the Michigan Right to Farm Act, that was dismissed. Preempting the Michigan Liquor License Control Code, violation of Michigan's Open Meetings Act, all dismissed. Intentional infliction of emotional distress under state law and civil conspiracy, dismissed. That was done on January 7, 2026 at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 6th District. So I don't understand why people can't understand how divisive all of this was, and yet Harley is just swept under the rug. A lot of those on the board, on the planning commission, were all brought under that lawsuit. My name was on there as well as other names individually, like it was retaliation. Way to go. Now, I've seen what's happening to this board. Sandy Bloomfield, I am so displeased and disgusted, and we'll talk sometime, I'm sure. We've been
Thank you, sir.
friends a long time. Thank you.
Any further citizen comments this evening?
I have a question. What's that?
No, if you've already spoken, sorry, we can talk after the meeting. Any further citizen comments this evening? If there's no further comments, we'll move along to board member comments. Trustee Cherry?
So much for clean and respectful comments. No, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cherry. Trustee Amos?
I'm good, thanks.
Trustee Pratt?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp?
Just want to remind the board, the MTA has put out their trainings and conferences for this year. The MTA conference is in April. There's a capital conference and some other really good conferences that are open now for us to sign up. So if anyone needs assistance with that, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
Trustee McIver?
No, I have nothing, thank you.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
I do. This is for Superintendent Hess, I believe, and probably Nicole. When I sit and I sign checks, I see, as you see, Nicole, where they go and how much they are. And there's one thing that I noticed is for services with the fire department, the library, the township, if we're all using the same service provider, I'm seeing different rates of billing. And I don't know if there would be any interest in collaboration with the other entities of working together to get us a better rate on some of those services.
Can you just send me an email, identify them?
Yeah, I will. I don't want to put them over. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to know if, I mean, I think it's somewhere we could save some money for everybody if we are all using the same provider, but we're all getting different bills, rates.
Yeah, I just don't see the library stuff.
I didn't think you saw them, but okay, thank you. That's all I wanted.
Any further board member comments? I just have a couple comments. The town hall, there was a couple of residents that mentioned the town hall. I think that people do have questions at times, although that they can email us, they can stop and talk to us, set an appointment up, call us. Maybe people just want to get together. So I would be in favor of doing that and participating in that. It would be an opportunity for us to have a dialogue with our residents, maybe seek input, meet people face to face, maybe help kind of calm Facebook down on maybe misinformation or planting seeds that aren't really true. You could hear it directly from the horse's mouth, if you will. So I think that'd be a great idea. I don't know if just this board, obviously if it was a public meeting, even if 4 of us showed up together, we'd still be fine, correct? Because we'd be in the public forum?
It has to be noticed as a public meeting, but
Okay.
that's fine.
So if this board would be interested to select, I don't know if it would be once a month, I don't know if once a quarter would be enough, but it would be better than what we're doing now. So I would not be opposed to that, and so maybe we could have that discussion. I'll bring it under supervisor at the next board meeting if anybody has any thought or contribution to bring along with that. A siren update, that will be under supervisor on the next township agenda. And I want to thank Deputy Knight, both service providers that we had 3 quotes. 1 quote was pretty far out. So kind of looking at 2 quotes to share with the board and implementing sirens over a longer period of time. And I got some information. It wasn't in time for the meeting, kind of to validate pricing if they would honor that, as well as some pretty neat information to address community concerns. And I've requested some further information that should be on the time. And speaking of government immunity, as Mr. Ampe would like to suggest, if anybody would like to look at the writ of superintending control filed in the circuit court, that would be pretty enlightening for people. And I suppose that's why it's very important to elect people that do the right thing, because there's a such thing as government immunity. And government immunity doesn't even cover the merit of the factuality of the allegations. But as an elected official, you have a blanket that covers you. And so it's just a good reminder to individuals in the community how important elections are. If there are no further comments this evening, this meeting is adjourned.